Hello, Herbalife Asia Pacific. Please welcome Eric Worre.
Hello, everybody. Good to see you. I just got a pen just a second.
Hi. Thank you.
All right, we got to start. We'll do more later. All right. Hello, everybody. How are you? Welcome to the APAC Diamond Development Mastermind Training. If you're excited, give me a round of applause if you're ready to go. We are broadcasting live from Incheon, Korea, and this session is live streamed to 13 different APAC countries. So we're going to say hello to all of them as we go through the day. I'm excited to be able to share some time with you and talk to you about leadership. I will tell you as we start, I'm a huge fan of the concept of mastermind. And the concept, one mind plus another mind creates a third and more powerful mind. When people come together and they share ideas, they share strategies, they share insights, knowledge, experience, we can all move forward faster. So congratulations all of you for being here and committing to your own excellence. What I've learned in my career is coaches, mentors, and masterminds are like a time machine. You literally, if you come into a mastermind like this, you walk into the room, you collect all the information, and you're now 3 years smarter without being 3 years older. You know, you get a coach, and now you're 5 years smarter without being 5 years older. You can take someone who's had tremendous experience and a very full journey. Somebody, you can work with somebody who has spent 20 years on one particular topic, and they can share it to you in one day. You don't have to spend the 20 years. That's what's exciting for me. When it comes to building a big business in direct sales, in network marketing, in Herbalife, leadership is everything. Why? The idea, I give the company so much credit for committing to this idea, because as we grow the leadership, so grows every market. Some people will say, well, if I was in the United States, it would be different. Or if I was in South America, it would be different. Or if I was in Asia, it would be different. It's never about geography. It's always about leadership. When a leader shows up, the market takes off. When a leader shares their vision, everybody gets excited. So we're here for these 2 days to grow you. So when you go out in the marketplace, as my mentor Jim Rohn used to say, he didn't necessarily care about influencing everyone. He wanted to influence the leaders who would go out and influence the rest of the world. That's what this is all about. Influencing you so you can go out there and be the best version of yourselves. So you can step into being world class. You can step into expert level. I'm going to share a little bit later today how I went from minimum wage to expert level. I went from very average to above average, and how you can too. The fact that you're here in this room, the fact that you're qualified for this, the fact whether you're here or you're watching in one of the 13 other countries that are being broadcast live into rooms just like this, your commitment to your future is what matters. And if you make a decision, and this weekend is going to be some about strategies and tactics, but it's going to be a lot about decision. When you make a decision, that you're going to go all the way to the top, when you make a decision that things are going to change, when you make a decision that regardless of your upline or the amount of support that you're receiving from somebody else, you're going to go crush it. That you don't need somebody to hold your hand, you're going to go do it with or without that level of support. When that decision happens, the real decision, then everything gets out of the way. Until you make a real decision, everything stays pretty difficult. You focus on how much support you're getting, or you focus on challenges that you're having, versus a real decision, all the challenges go away when you decide you're going to go to the top. So you have a vehicle, you have the products, you have the company, you have the culture, you have the team. Now we're going to focus on what you can do to become a better you. So let's walk into the power of the mastermind. One is the value of collective wisdom. There's so much knowledge and skill in this room. There's so much knowledge and skill inside of the whole TAB team throughout all of APAC. There's knowledge that Stefan and the management team have from the company. There's knowledge that I bring, but collective wisdom, where we're all going to share. There's going to be opportunities to share today for you to learn. Two, the hunger that comes from a mastermind. The people who walk into this room that are hungry. I always talk about you need three things to go to the top in network marketing. You need to be willing, you need to be coachable, and you need to be hungry. And you can't really teach hunger. Person's either hungry or they're not. But the people that are here in this room, what it tells me is that you're hungry. The people in all these different 13 countries tells me that you're hungry. These are the people you want more, and we're going to deliver more. We're going to help you achieve more, faster than you've thought before. The power of a peer group. There's one of the things I'll talk about a little bit more later. But if you're really committed to making lasting change in your life, and how many are really committed to making a lasting change in their Herbalife business? Raise your hands if you're committed to that. I'll wait for the translation. All right, fantastic. The secret to accelerated growth is accountability. To create an environment that will force you to do the things that you should be doing. And that's what this peer group was going to do. To have a peer group, to have your peers say, hey, you said you were going to do this thing. Hey, you said you were going to qualify for Premier League. Hey, you said you were going to bring X number of people to the next extravaganza. Come on, let's go. Like those of you who are working out, if you have a trainer to come work you out, you're going to work out different than if you don't have a trainer. It's the power of accountability. And what I learned about myself is I needed to find people and circumstances that would hold me accountable, that would not allow me to play small. And this mastermind is going to put you in a situation that's going to be uncomfortable if you play small. Okay? And it's a great, great thing, the power of a peer group. We want to, more than anything, unlock your potential. You have limitless potential here in this room and throughout APAC. We want to help you unlock it. We're going to be creating collaboration opportunities where you can work together to help each other grow faster. And we're going to be sharing, everybody's going to be sharing your absolute best ideas. So think about these things and what it will do if you step into these things. We're sharing ideas. We're holding each other accountable. We're unlocking potential. We're encouraging a bigger vision and causing people to be hungrier than they were going to be. We're gathering up great ideas. And speaking of mastermind, I will tell you, one of the things that excites me the most is one little tiny idea, a simple little thing. And when I find them, they're like jewels. They're like gold. Because I know from experience that with that one tiny little idea, 5 years from now, my business will be in a different place. 5 years from now, everything will change. And I used to sit in rooms like this and look around, and I caught the idea, and somebody else didn't. It just went right over their head. I'll give you an example. I was sitting in a training, and there was this old cowboy in the United States, and he got up and did this training. He said, you can tell the size of the man by the size of the problem it takes to get him down. And I was like, oh. Because I was very good at blaming other people for my problems. And when I heard him say that, I went, my life is now going to be different. Every time I'm complaining, I'm going to say, is this all the size I am? Is this all the man I am? I need to stop complaining about this stuff. I'm playing in the kiddie games. I got to go to another level. Finding these little tiny strategies, simple little things. I'll give you one that I just found 6 months ago, just an idea. There's a leader that I work with that every time a person joins his team, there's 3 different welcome Zooms that are scheduled with that new person. 3. From the sponsor and from 2 other people on the team. They all do a little Zoom call or a FaceTime call or some sort of video call with that new person just to welcome them to the team and just to say congratulations, you made the right choice. 3. Now I want you to think about if every single person that joined your team had 3 different interactions in their first 24 hours. Now take that for the next 5 years. What's the success rate of that person versus a person that doesn't get those calls? Completely, totally different. Little tiny things, creating big, big leverage. That's what we want to do. Give you the little strategies that create big results and create them fast. So, I know that there's a lot of business methods in APAC and around the world. There's nutrition clubs, there's weight loss challenges, there's marathons, there's fit clubs, there's fit camps, there's use, wear, and talk, person to person. There's social media, there's trials and samples, on-the-go strategies. And there may be even more innovation that's happening within your organization, and that's fine. Whatever it is, we want to help you leverage the business methods that work for you. And we want you to help improve, and Stefan's going to help a lot on this today, is how to take any business strategy that you have, any business method that you have, and systemize it, tighten it, make the system better. Pay attention to what's working around the world. He's going to share some case studies of different organizations around the world that are having huge success. And what you can do, you take this one little strategy, you add it to your nutrition club, now add time, and you have a completely different business. And that's true for all of the methods. So regardless of, don't think this is about one method or another method. This is about all of them and the ones that work. And those of you who are leading large organizations are probably going to have all of them at some place within your organization doing different strategies. So you want to be paying attention to who's the best, who's the tightest, who's getting the best results. That's what we want you to be able to enjoy, the best results. So the key concepts, share a few key concepts with you. Leadership, we're going to be talking about. Systems. I'm a big, huge believer in systems. Every business is a collection of systems. Every single business. And we tend to wing it. We tend to treat it pretty casually how we approach our business versus really tight, documented systems. So we're going to spend some time on systems. We're going to be talking about mindset, the mindset of a leader, the mindset of a visionary, the mindset that's going to cause you to go to the next level. We're going to be talking about skills, your skill set, how you can improve your skills and how you can help other people on their team improve their skills. And we're going to be talking about strategy. What are the strategies? Now, I don't want to overwhelm you, but I will give you 52 different topics that over time we will cover. We won't cover all of them this weekend. There's no chance. But just to give you an idea, these are the first 26. Prospecting systems, inviting systems, presenting systems, follow-up systems, closing systems, getting people started systems, promoting event systems, sales systems, recruiting systems, duplication, leadership skills, problem solving, how to use contests within your team, in order to be able to grow faster? What are recognition strategies you can use in addition to what the company does? What incentives could you create? Events that you can do, social media systems, training systems, how to build team relationships, company relationships. Building a strong relationship with the company and the executive staff is very important for your business. How to handle company changes, how to be able to master that and respond very quickly. Leaders have a huge advantage if their team is able to respond quickly to any change. When other people are like wandering around, the strong leaders really handle change very, very well. Branding, building your brand, team brand, handling being rated by other companies. How do you deal with that? When other companies come in and start taking some of the people from your team and distract them and offer them all kinds of promises, how do you deal with that? There's very specific strategies on how to deal with that. Handling people leaving for whatever reason. How do you manage that? Handling bad press. That's a strategy. That's a leadership concept that you need to be able to deal with, because guess what? People are going to take cheap shots at great companies. It's just part of our business. Teams, when your team is in management mode versus building mode, how do you transition out of management mode? So those are 26. Let me give you another 26. Personal development systems, how to develop your culture on your team, how to shift a culture if it's a little off balance, how to use targeted recruiting campaigns, sample campaigns, activity campaigns, communication strategies, how to set expectations within your organization, how to inoculate your team so they're able to withstand difficulty, self-awareness within the organization, how to play bigger, long-distance strategies, how to build a business in international markets. Leadership, how do you identify somebody who would be a good leader? How do you develop that leader? How do you duplicate leadership? How do you create more presenters with your organization? This is sounding like a lot, right? This is what we do. This is our business. And the more you can take all of these things, every strategy that we're talking about here, how do you put them into a system so people don't have to think about it? The leader has to think about it. And then you put it into the system and people don't have to think about it. They just follow the system. But it's up to you to set the stage. It's up to you to create the environment that's going to give people the best possible chance for success. And when they step into leadership, they can be part of that discussion to be able to see what the teams are going to be. So this is why we wanted to create this and have it be a long-term thing, because over time, we'll teach you. We'll talk about finances, which we don't really have a lot of time to talk about, do we? But is the topic of finance an important topic for people to have true freedom? Yes. Do they need to be thinking about what they're doing with the money that they earn from Herbalife in order to be able to put it in investments and create some sort of investment returns long term? Of course. So we're going to talk about all of these things. How to have harmony in the home. You know how much coaching I do around the world? You know what's the number one topic that I am asked to help with? Relationships. Husband and wife, girlfriend and boyfriend, spouse, significant other, friction, drama in the family, drama between upline, downline, drama. It's the number one thing that I'm asked to help with, is to help people create more harmony in their life, in their home, and in their team. So we'll talk about strategies on how to do that. Okay? So I'm excited. All of these 52 topics fire me up, and they excite me. I hope that they excite you. Yes? Good. Do we have any paper up here? I need blank paper, if somebody has some. Great, thank you. Thanks so much. So, I'd like you to write one word down. That word is leverage. Leverage. We want to help you create as many situations where you can have leverage within your organization. And what I mean by leverage is, what are the small things that can create big results? Premier League, for example. How many of you are already qualified for Premier League? Raise your hands. If you're already qualified for Premier League. Everybody? All right, fantastic. That's not true with all of the tab team in APAC, right? So qualifying for Premier League is one part of leverage. And how much did that little simple program, 10 and 2, what did that do to help you cause people to take action that they would not have taken if that program didn't exist? That's an example. So qualifying for Premier League is one, but now working with your team saying, when are you going to get to Premier League? Now you have a leverage tool. You have something that will cause people to take an action. Here's what we do in leadership. We create more action. We cause people to do more of the correct things, more of the activities that they were not going to do. Us as leaders, that's our job. To cause people to take an action that they weren't going to take. To get people to be more productive than they were going to be. So, let me talk to you about the attributes of a leader. Throw that back up. 5 attributes of a leader. I want you to think about this for a moment. 1, leaders are independent. And what I mean by independent, not that they're off doing their own thing, but they don't need a lot of help to go grow a business. They're self-sufficient. 2, they're very good problem solvers. When a problem shows up, they solve it quick. Good leaders don't let problems hang around for a long time to distract the team because they're trying to get people to do more of the correct activity. So, they're good problem solvers. 3, they're consistent. There's a baseline of consistency that they never fall under. They might spike above it, go hardcore, but they never fall below it. They're consistent. And that consistency builds confidence in their organization, in their teams. 4, they have a big vision. And not only do they have a big vision, they have the ability to communicate that vision. Because if you have it big in your head, it's okay. It's going to cause you to take more action. But if you have the ability to communicate it, now it's going to cause other people to take more action. People say, I can't get my people to go to work. You know what I think as soon as I hear that? People are lazy. After the pandemic, people don't want to work. People don't want to do this. People don't want to do that. No, they do want to. But you haven't shared a big enough vision to cause them to do it. It's on you. When somebody with a huge vision walks into the room, everything changes. What was Mark Hughes? Mr. Vision. Every time he walked into a room, he changed the room. His vision was so big, everybody was drawn to it. And he caused people to do things that they would not have done. When he challenged all the Pres team around the world to go travel and go get in front of as many markets as they could do, they said, all right, we're in. Right? And now you're saying, well, I want my people to travel, but they just don't want to. No, they do want to, but you haven't shown them a big enough vision to go do it. So, 1, it has to be strong here. 2, it has to be strong here. You have to have the ability to communicate it that excites people to cause them to take different action, a big vision. And number 5, a great leader creates action. It causes people to do more of the correct activities. So these are my 5. You can come up with your 5, but I think this measures a leader pretty strongly. So I want to ask you a question. How many people on your team today have all 5? How many people do you have on your team that have all 5 of these things? It's not a huge number. It's not a huge number. And are any of these difficult, particularly difficult? Are they impossible? No. None of these are impossible. You have to learn them, but they're not impossible. So what we want to do is strengthen these 5 with you and help you teach your teams how to strengthen these 5 in them. The thicker this gets, the better you get. There's the thing I would like to show you called the leadership gap that happens with most organizations. If you take revenue, let me use this big pen. If you take leadership growth, real leadership using these 5 attributes that I just shared, I've never seen it grow more than 10% a year in my life. In 37 years, I've never seen it grow more than 10% per year. Real leadership. Revenue can grow, but leadership, usually, it looks something like this. Okay? That's the leadership growth line. Now, revenue, from time to time, think about the times in APAC when everything was flying. Everything was straight up. 2019, 2020, it's like pandemic, no problem. Growth is way, way, way up. Now, when revenue's here, growth is here, and leadership's down here. When you're in big growth, in 2019, 2020, when you're in big growth, was leadership growing at the same level as revenue? No. 100% no. Nobody even wants to talk about leadership. Nobody wants to talk about systems. They're just holding on for the ride. They're just enjoying the growth, and their checks going up and everything's working. Everybody feels like they're a genius. Everything's amazing. So if revenue's here and leadership is here, one of 2 things needs to happen. Either leadership needs to come up to support the revenue, or what? The revenue is going to come down. So this is like a meme stock that all of a sudden revenue went up. It has to come down. It has to. And it's nothing terrible about it coming down. You outgrew the leadership. No problem. But if you haven't thought about what's going to happen when things take a breath and you have to deal with the realities, and the first time it just goes sideways. Everybody's like, oh, what happened? Everything stopped. And people react very strangely when something happens on the other side of momentum. What they do, some groups just say, because there's always something to blame. Always. You say the company made this change, and this product changed, and the comp plan did this, and the economy did that, and the pandemic was the reason why, and nobody wants to get on Zooms anymore. There's always a million reasons. But here's the truth. The truth is the leadership didn't grow to the revenue. So when it levels off, some people start blaming everybody and everything. They blame their upline, they blame the company, they blame the products, they blame the economy, they blame the comp plan, they blame everything. Another group of people just say, well, I'm just going to sit here and wait until growth starts happening again. The big run is over. I'm just going to collect my check. I'm going to sit back. I guess the run is over. Let's see how long they pay me. That's another group. Some people leave. They say, well, growth stopped here. I got to go someplace else, because they're addicted to the adrenaline, the momentum, the excitement. And it turned into work. Building their Herbalife business became work. So they're like, I'm going somewhere else. This isn't fun anymore. So you need to understand that between revenue and leadership is a gap. And will there be another time of momentum here in APAC? Yes, of course. I think it's right around the corner. I think this group's going to create the next wave of growth. But the next time it grows, guess what we need to learn to do? Tell everybody this is not normal. We need to develop you as a leader. We need you to be stronger, because at some point it's going to correct. And when it does, that's our moment. That's when we get strong, when everybody else gets weak. That's when we get more of the market share in APAC while other people get distracted. We're not going to blame. We're going to take responsibility. Let other people blame. We can't control that. We're going to be ready for that moment. So while it's growing, you're going to be preparing people. When it corrects, we said, we told you this was going to happen. So we're ready now. Let's create the next wave of growth. These people, what we're preparing you for now, inside of this mastermind, is the next wave of growth. So you're mature enough to be able to hold it, and to be able to develop stronger leaders in it. Okay? So when that growth happens, we get the leadership to rise underneath it. So this is preparing. This is mentally challenging you. It's also explaining, because you're like, oh gosh, we're just not growing like we used to. Well, we don't have the leaders to do it yet. The market has come to the leadership level, which is where it is right now. We strengthen the leadership, though, everything changes. Okay? From time to time, what I learned, it was a very tough lesson in my network marketing journey. What I learned was, from time to time in your life, you might be in the right place at the right time. And your income might take a lucky jump. But if you don't become, as a person, to the level of the income that you're earning, your income's going to come back down to the person that you are. That's the bad news. You can go on a 30-day run, you can go on a 90-day run, you can go on a 3-year run, but you cannot run yourself. So that's the bad news. The bad news is Herbalife will not make up for your lack of leadership ability. You still have to become a stronger leader. That's the bad news. The good news is there's no limit to how much you can develop you. There's no limit to how strong you can become. There's no limit to how big your vision can be. There's no limit to how consistent you can be, how good of a problem solver you are, how good of a strategist and a system builder you are. There's no limits to that. And if you can raise that limit, you can raise that cap in you, then you can create an opportunity that will literally impact millions of people around the world. I would love to see this market lead the world. Lead the entire world in Herbalife and show them what's possible. The strength of this group, yes? All right. So I'm excited to share with you over the course of these 2 days, but for this next session, we have a very, very, very special guest. He's the biggest reason why I decided to build a relationship and enter into a relationship with Herbalife. About a year ago, a little bit more than a year ago, we began talking, and it's been an incredible, fun time. This guy not only understands what you do in the field, but he is one of the smartest strategists I know, and you are very, very lucky to have him inside the company. Please welcome your friend and president of Herbalife, Mr. Stefan Graziani.
I promise, one last. We're gonna do more later. Okay. We have so much to learn, so much to learn. So much to learn. Please, please, later, I promise we'll be back. Okay. Okay, so first of all, by the way, how many of you, when you listen to Eric, you get really excited about learning some things that we've really never taught before in Herbalife? How many of you are super excited listening to Eric? Yeah. So, yeah, you give him a hand, by the way. So, first of all, congratulations. Today is the beginning of a new journey in Herbalife for you. We have never started the beginning of the year like this. In all of the time that you've been with Herbalife, no matter where you are right now, in the Asia-Pacific region, we've never had what we have right now in the company. And so we've never had a mastermind like this that Eric explained all of the benefits of what's going to happen. And this is going to create a new reality for us in Herbalife. And so number one, we're in this amazing room in Korea. I don't know if everybody that's connected has had a chance to see the room, but what I want to do is I want to have everybody at least know what's happening right now, because as we're here with 500 or so TAB team leaders, by the way, who all qualified for Premier League, first of all. So stand up and give yourselves a hand, first of all. Okay, you guys stand up for that. Give yourselves a hand. Yes. So, and in every room, by the way, and we're going to do this in a second, but first of all, you have to understand that your leadership, and that's what this is about, you've already shown through your action that you are leaders because you are in this room right now. And so we also have people that didn't qualify to be in the room, but also had an opportunity to join, who are TAB team, that are joining us via Zoom. But we have rooms like this that are all across Asia Pacific right now that are happening. So I want to have us bring up the rooms so you get a chance everywhere across Asia Pacific except for one market, which is Australia, New Zealand. Because of the size and because of how spread out it is, they're actually joining via Zoom. But if we could have the Zoom, please welcome all of the Australia, New Zealand. Hopefully they can see us. Congratulate them. Welcome, guys. Thank you for taking the next 2 days and being a part of this. Let's go now to Cambodia, and let's see in the room all of the qualifiers in Cambodia. Hey, guys. Congratulations. Hong Kong, Macau together. Let's go to Hong Kong and Macau. There they are. Hey, everyone. Amazing. Indonesia. Let's go to Indonesia. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Diamond Development Mastermind. All right, let's go to Japan. Amazing. Okay, Malaysia. Congratulations. All right, Philippines.
Wow.
All right, amazing. Let's go to Singapore. Singapore? Okay, we're going to go to Taiwan. We'll give Singapore another chance. Taiwan. Very good. Let's go to Thailand. Okay, let's try Singapore one more time. Singapore? Oh, there they are. All right, great. This is a big one. Let's go to Vietnam. Almost 900. Whoa. All right, say hello to Vietnam. All right, well, sound like they have a lot of energy. Let's show them the energy in Seoul, Korea. Let's go. Come on, show them the energy. Okay. All right. So let's get started. Let's talk about the future. And this is kind of an interesting one because this is not just a room in Taiwan or in Hong Kong or the Philippines or Singapore. This is individual leaders, each and every one of them, with the possibility to change not only their futures, your futures individually, but the future of your markets and the future of Herbalife. And so it's really important. You know, if you think of the story of Mark Hughes, everything that exists today in the world of Herbalife exists because of one man. One man who had his experience in life that made some decisions and some choices and took some action. And because of the simple fact that he decided to start Herbalife, all of you are in this room, and all of the rooms that we've just seen, and thousands of rooms around the world, and millions of people over the last 44 years have been impacted. So if you think about that one thing, and you think about yourselves in your journey, in your own individual journey, and the things that you've accomplished, it's pretty amazing to think about the impact that one human being can make. And each and every one of you in your Herbalife journey, if you think about everything that's happened to you, no matter how many years you've been here, the amount of meetings, trainings, the people that you've met that became part of your team, the conversations that you've had, the relationships that you've built, you individually have had an incredible impact already in the world. The question is, are you ready to make an even bigger impact? The question is, are you ready to take things to the next level for yourselves? And are you ready to learn the things and experience the things and through time, right, have this be something where you accomplish things that when you look back, it's just amazing to think about from where you came to where you've arrived. And so how many of you are clear that this is not the final destination where you've reached today, but this is just the beginning of a journey into the future for yourselves? How many of you are like super clear that this is not, you might be president team, you might be chairman's club, you might be founder's circle in the room today, but this is just the beginning of a future, right? So this is important because what's happening starting this weekend, thank you for that, what's happening starting this weekend is the company trying to give you all of the resources necessary for you to have the best chance to make the impact that you want to have. And this is the legacy of Herbalife. I think, how many of you would say that Herbalife is most definitely one of the best things that has ever happened to you in your entire life, finding Herbalife? How many of you would agree with that statement? Pretty amazing. I mean, we're all saying the same thing. We're all feeling the same thing. So what is so special about this company? Why this company? Why all of you? Why are we here together? And why, if we have had this special journey so far, why is this the place to be for the future? And so when I think back to finding Herbalife 34 years ago, and I think from where I came, that I was someone that was a cyclist, that I grew up in the United States, that I moved to France, that I never went to university, so I have no higher education, that I was a good cyclist, but I wasn't a great cyclist, and that I was looking for a job in France, and I came down to an HOM, and I came into this room, 80, 90 people, and I heard in 1991, June 16th, I heard stories of people that were using these products and the product results that they were having, and I heard people that were working part-time and the incomes that they were making, and I heard the story of Mark Hughes, and I heard about the marketing plan and the opportunity, and I made the choice in that moment to join Herbalife, and I invested, at the time, which was 465 francs, about $80, to start as an Herbalife distributor. I could never imagine that 34 years later, all of the history and all of the stories and all of the experiences, that would have been my life. But somehow fate had it be that that was what happened to me. And I think that almost every single one of you, you have your own story of where you were before Herbalife. And now you raise your hand saying it's the best thing or one of the best things that's ever happened to you. And then if you think about that, why is it that it happened that way? Why is it that you found Herbalife the way you found Herbalife? And that now you're here with this company, and now we're here in this room, and now we are doing things we've never done before as a company. Just the idea of this mastermind and having now someone like Eric and having the company organize and create the accountability and create the peer group structure and to create this wealth of knowledge that's coming together, this has never happened before. This is a first. After 44 years 45 years of history in Herbalife, after 34 years of becoming a distributor myself. Many of you may be 20 and 30 years, but this is the first time that we're putting all of this together. So we have a huge future together. And there's many things that, we can't talk about that's in the works, but hopefully you've seen over the last year and felt that there is change that's happening, that there are things that are happening, and I believe this is part of our legacy. There's a reason why Herbalife is where it is today, and there's a reason why we will become, without any doubt, the world's premier health and wellness company, community, and platform. And all of us are here right now to take advantage of this in the future. And how many of you believe that the world needs Herbalife today more than it's ever needed Herbalife in its history? How many of you believe that the world is in great need of Herbalife today? Yeah, very good. And so I think that we have a big responsibility. I think we have a big opportunity ahead of us. Now it's going to be about helping all of you to develop your leadership and, number one, to drink from the wealth of knowledge that Eric has in all of his experience in teaching and working with people. And at the same time, we're going to give you what you need in understanding of Herbalife and what's happening in terms of the ways people are working the most successfully and understanding what's available to you to be able to implement things and be supported in the implementation. How many of you, the issue, or one of them, is not so much that you don't know what to do, okay? Part of it, maybe you don't know exactly what to do, but how many of you know kind of what you should be doing, but it's actually getting yourself to do it that is the hard part for you? So knowing what to do is part, but getting yourself to do it, number two. And then how many of you, it's not getting yourself to do it, because sometimes you'll do it, but it's getting yourself to do it long enough and consistently enough and with enough, energy and time and intensity to actually produce the result that you want. Like, you'll start something, but to actually see it through with intensity, it's something that's harder for you. How many of you, it's actually the consistency to do things over time, which is one of the things, and the discipline to do things over time, which is one of the things that you need to work on for yourselves? Yeah, very good. So either maybe you don't know, or you know and you don't do, or you do and you don't do long enough and intense enough to be able to get the result. We're going to try to help you and support you to make sure that you know what to do, that you actually do it, and that you do it long enough to be able to produce the result. And the fourth thing is that you change what you do when you need to be able to continue to have growth in your business. Because if you have a vision, and how many of you here are committed to becoming president team members at least in the company? Like, this is one of your goals. You want to and are going to work to qualify as a president team member. Raise your hand. Okay, very good. So it's going to take knowing what you need to do, getting in action, doing it long enough to be able to get the results and build the organization that you need to build. And then how many of you are committed to going beyond president team? Yeah, very good. So president team is not enough. President team is a result, a milestone along the way, but your journey should not be dictated on a position, because your journey is going to be dictated by the time that you spend working in Herbalife. And this is the other thing that's important to understand. How many of you have no time limit? You know that you're going to be in Herbalife until you just can't work anymore, or until you, I don't know, get so much money or so successful or something happens in your life. But how many of you have like no expiration date for when you will stop Herbalife? Like, if we asked you, when are you you're gonna work until when? You'll be like, I don't know, I'm gonna work until forever. Like, right. So should a position be a destination for you if you have no expiration date to the amount of time that you're going to work? It shouldn't. So it would be to say that president team is a destination. No. If you're going to spend 5, 10, 15, 20 years of your life, 30 years of your life investing into Herbalife, it would be crazy to think that there's a position that is your destination. It's unlimited in time and in where you can go. So very quickly, I'm going to talk a little bit about just my own personal history. And I know many of you have seen this before because I've done this, and I kind of talked through it at the FPTR, and I'll do it quickly. But the point here is that if you're going to be in Herbalife long enough, and you are going to work consistently, and you're going to build a business consistently, and you're going to do it through decades, there will be ups and downs in the business. It is perfectly normal. There will be business cycles that will happen. There will be changes in the world that will happen. There will be changes in our company that are going to happen. Okay, there's going to be consistent change over time. How individually as a leader you manage the change, that is going to be what is going to be critical. And that means learning new skills, that means being open, that means being willing to implement things and try things that you've never tried before. There's a lot that comes to it. And so I just want to share really quickly, because sometimes people see the leaders on stage and you see them in a way that you think they are successful because of the way they talk, or they are successful because of the way they started, or when they started the business, or the timing that they had, or many different things. But everyone has a story in their journey. And so for myself, I started in 1991. And it's so long ago to even try to relate to how the business was in 1991 compared to today, you can't even relate. Yes, it was Herbalife. Yes, there was the marketing plan. Okay, it looked similar, but some things were different. Okay, but the world we lived in was very different. And so I'm going to go very quickly, but I didn't have an incredibly fast start in the business. I didn't know really what I was doing in the business. I just followed what people were doing. And so we had HOMs, and we invited people to the opportunity meetings, and people joined, and then we promoted for them to go to trainings, and we had qualifications to become supervisors, and some people would see the opportunity. And I became a Get Team member basically in 11 months. It was great, but if you had asked me, what did you do to be a Get Team member? I would say, I just am inviting people to meetings, and some people sign up, and then I invite people to trainings, and some people go, and then I invite people to become supervisors, and some people say yes, and then some people just do the same thing. So Eric talks about systems. Every business has a system. That was the system that I came into that Herbalife used at the time. It was a very simple system. In fact, we used to call it, simple, fun, and magical. Use the products, wear the button, talk to people, invite people to the meeting. People come to the meeting, learn how to do an HOM, right? Learn how to do a quick start training, promote extravaganza, or promote a supervisor workshop, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. It was a business system. And so it was a system that I learned. By the way, some of you know this also, but in my first HOM, when I came, it was maybe 3 weeks after I had started the business, they announced to me that I was going to do the beginning of the HOM. And it was my job to tell the Mark Hughes story and introduce the woman that would talk about the products. So I fainted in my first meeting doing the very first part of the HOM. So I got up and I said, my name is Stefan Graziani, welcome. Herbalife was started in 1980 by a young man named Mark Hughes. He lost his mother, and the next thing I knew, I was sitting in the corner on a chair, and a woman had a newspaper, and she was doing this in front of me. And I had literally fainted in the meeting. And so I tell this story because now you see me on stage, you're like, oh, you look so natural. It's like, yeah, you guys can clap for that. I don't know. Now, by the way, the other part to this story is that my sponsor quit the business about 3 or 4 weeks later. And so I can only imagine that it was my fault, because she was probably in the meeting watching her distributor, faint. And she said, this business is not going to work for me, And so she quit the business, and I don't know how much money we never calculated how much money she lost. But that was my journey. And so There were business systems at the time, but the business system was different and looked different. And so we're going to continue talking about these business systems because it's important, but we're going to keep going. It took me 3 years to qualify as a millionaire team member. It was pretty much that same business system: Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday trainings, monthly supervisor workshops, HOMs, world team schools, STSs came a little bit later, okay, for those of you, but this was the business system that we had. The only thing is it took me another 1.5 years to get my very first millionaire team bonus. So I qualified millionaire team in 3 years, but I didn't maintain the volume to actually get the bonus of being a millionaire team. And then it took me 6 years to become a president team member. When I became a president team member, or actually, yes, when I became a president team member, I already had a 1 diamond below me because as a millionaire team, I had someone that had qualified president team below. So when I qualified president team, I got my president team pin, but I also got my 1 diamond pin at the same time. So 6 years to become a president team. It took me 3 years to get my first president team bonus. And so not a very successful start. We had a business system and the business system worked, but the business system produced the result that it produced. Now, if I look back, and this is a question for everyone in the room, your business result today, if you look back, could you change and have changed where you are today in the marketing plan if you had done things differently? If you had recruited more first line? If you had paid more attention to the business system that you were working, if you had, built better relationships with your people, could you be in a different place today than you are today if you had done some things differently in the past? How many of you would agree and say yes, you would be in a different place? So what's important is that part of it is that you, very good, you take responsibility for the fact that actually you control. Even though I was working, I was part of the reason why it took 3 years to get my very first president team check. I was the reason why I was a millionaire team with the president team below, because I hadn't sponsored first line and built enough business first line, and I was more working with my one person that was really good instead of also paying attention to frontline development, okay? But you cannot change the past, and this is my past. And so I became a 1 diamond president team in 1997. It also took me until 2003, 6 years before I ever got the Mark Hughes bonus. So I used to be a 1 diamond president team member, and I used to go to the Mark Hughes bonus every year, and I would watch people get up on stage, and I would watch them get their bonus, Mark Hughes bonus, and for 6 years, I just sat there, and I just watched every year people go across the stage and get their bonus. And so I share this story because whatever's happened in your past does not dictate your future. Write that down. Whatever your story is from the past does not dictate, meaning it does not tell you where you will be in the future. You can restart your Herbalife story at any time. And today is the beginning of a new Herbalife story. All right, very good. So, in 2002, I did get a 2nd diamond. One of the things that happened in 2000 was that there was a new business system that started to become prevalent, that started to become recognized in the world, and this was something that was called the work from home system, where people started to use different ways of marketing to people and different ways of presenting to people and different ways of doing numbers of presentations. And one of the things that happened in 2000 was I started to hear about these business systems, or DMOs, and I started to take interest because I said, what I've been doing for the last 9 years, it's produced a certain result, but it's not the result that I want to have in the future. So I started to look for people that were doing things that were producing the kind of results I wanted to have. And I discovered a business system called the work from home business system. And I started to learn about what it was. And I took about literally 6 months, 7 months to actually learn about it and understand it so that I could then go and develop it within my business in different places. And by 2002, I had gotten a second president team member. And in 2003, I got a third president team member. In 2004, I got a fourth president team member. My dream was, in 2005, the 25th anniversary of Herbalife, to become the 25th Chairman's Club member. This was my dream. And my dream was to become the first Chairman's Club member with 5 diamonds from different countries. And so that was my goal, and it didn't happen. And for a period of 6 years, I stayed at the president team for Diamond. And during that period of 6 years, and Rob is here in the room, I became distracted. Because in that moment, I started to look at all of my business, and I was not in the Chairman's Club, and I started to point fingers at why my business wasn't growing. And it was because the company was making the wrong decisions, and the Chairman's Club, they weren't making the right decisions, and the company should do this, and the company should do that. And then it was my people. My people weren't doing what they needed to do, so the problem was the people. And I really got into this vicious cycle of blaming everyone except for myself about why I had not qualified on the Chairman's Club. And so it was, in my history of time, it was probably one of the darker periods of my business where I really questioned myself. I questioned the company. I questioned my people. I questioned the other leaders in the company. And by the time I got my 5th diamond, and I've told this story also, by the time I got my 5th diamond, and I was on a congratulations call, because when you qualify chairmans, the company calls you, and at the time it was Michael Johnson and Rob Levy was and Des Walsh was on the phone, and they call it their worst Chairman's Club call out of all of the Chairman's Club's calls that they've ever done in history. Because when they called me, and I was actually in this, I was in a personal development seminar, funny enough, so probably not very, I was in an event actually, and they called me, and I'm like, thank you for thanks for calling. But I said, but I'm not really inspired to, work with the other Chairman's Club. And I don't know, if this is really what I want to do. And I literally said, and I don't know what you can count on from me in the future because I really don't know what I'm committed to. Now, fast forward on that conversation, right, to becoming the president of Herbalife. Like, it's kind of a big, on the spectrum of where you can be, it's kind of a big difference, right? It's over here and over here. But again, I share this with you why. Some of you are in this dark moment in your Herbalife business right now. Some of you have been, in your mind, working and doing what you think needs to be done, and you're not where you want to be. And that was my situation. I wasn't where I wanted to be, and I had all the reasons why I wasn't where I wanted to be. And so, luckily enough, because of the business that I had built, I did get the 5th diamond. And the 5th diamond was a big impact for me in my life, because when I qualified, even though in the moment I qualified, I didn't know what my commitment was, because I did become a Chairman's Club member, what happened was I was now a part of the Chairman's Club and Founder Circle group. And when I went into the meetings, all of the things that I thought about what was happening in the meetings, it wasn't true. When I went into the meetings and I started to get to know all of the Chairman's Club members and understand the conversations and work closely with the company, I started to understand actually that the problem in my business was not them, it wasn't the company, that the problem in my business was my attitude, that the problem in my business was my mindset and the way I was looking at things, and that needed to change. And so from that moment, things really shifted for me. And I started to realize that I needed to take responsibility for my business and not put the responsibility on other people, because there's always going to be things that you don't like. There's always going to be things that in your mind could be better that you're not in control of. Like, you're not in control of the Herbalife marketing plan. You're not in control of your governments. You're not in control of the economy. You're not in control of your competitors. You're not in control of so many things that it's easy, when you focus on everything that you're not in control of, to start to feel like you're limited by what you can do. But the question is, what are you in control of? The first thing to get control of is yourself, and to get control of your mind, and to get control of the things that you can take responsibility for and make a difference for, because you don't need everything to be perfect. You don't need the environment to be perfect for you to become a president team member. And so what I started to realize is that I needed to go back to work on myself again. That even though I was thinking that I was seeing things in the right way, but there was still work that needed to be done on me. And so I share this with you because one of the things also that's important is data. And the reason why data is so important is because whether it's data from your organization, whether it's data meaning the level and the PIN that you have, the level of the check, like Eric talked about, your income versus where you are as a leader, it is a scorecard. It tells you something about your business. It might not tell you everything about your business, but it tells you something about your business. And so I became very interested in data. I became very interested, and if we can just get this up, the supervisor metrics, at what Herbalife made available and started to make available, because it gave me a point of reference to where my business was at. And so I share this with you because in 2010, my organization, if you look at it, and how many of you have seen this before? This is your supervisor metrics. This is in BizWorks. How many of you take the time and you look at this from time to time? Raise your hands. Okay, some of you. Everybody should do it. Okay, everybody should be looking at your BizWorks reports. It's really super important. But if you look at 2010, at that time in our marketing plan, we still had 1 month qualifications. So 74% of the people that I had were qualifying in 1 month. We don't have 1 month qualifications anymore. Okay, but at that time, it's the way that it was. But if you look at the supervisor retention, it was 48%. If you look at the new supervisors that were active in the first 3 months, it was 49%. But if you look at it basically overall, supervisors with volume on a monthly basis, about 2,000 supervisors did volume on a monthly basis. You can start to see what your productivity is. You can start to see what your organization looks like. This is my infinite organization. And so I started paying attention to what was happening over time. When the company created a new qualification, accumulated qualification, I started to be interested and open to the changes and helping my organization grow through the changes instead of resisting the changes. Sometimes changes come and people spend a lot of time questioning the changes. But the changes are there. So if a change has already occurred, but you spend time questioning it and, debating it and not liking it, instead of accepting it, understanding why the changes happen and then how to leverage the change, then you're just wasting time. Not only that, but the message you send to your organization is what? Is that I'm not sure about the change. So they're lacking confidence in you, and you're the leader of the organization. So just to show you some of the things very quickly, it's understanding and looking through time, year by year, of how things are happening for you. And so I share this with you just because there's been different times and periods and phases in Herbalife, and the goal is that through decades, that the way you show up as a leader and how you navigate the changes in Herbalife, in the world, in your business, in your life, will ultimately show you where you are going to end up. And so being conscious of that and focused on that, and understanding of that is very, very important. Okay, so when Eric says we are going to prepare you for the future growth of the company, this is preparation. This is allowing you to prepare yourselves maybe differently, to see things differently, to understand some different things so you can act differently, lead differently, and produce different kinds of results for the future. So I share this with you. If you look at, oops, just go back. So if you look at that period of time, if we can put that up. Can you get that back up? So if you look, oh no. Let me just go through. Okay, so if you look from an organization in 2010, 2,000 supervisors on average doing volume, to 2023, 26,000 supervisors on average doing volume, you can start to see that there's been a process of growth. But I started to pay attention to the numbers in 2010. And so this is important because this also led to growth that happened. And here's the amount of supervisors that got developed over the last 14 years and the amount of volume that's taken place on a monthly basis over the last 14 years. So you can start today with an organization of 20,000 in your organization volume, of 200 supervisors. And over the next period of time, you can multiply that 10 times to be able to develop whatever kind of organization you want to have in the future. And it's going to get faster in the future than it has been in the past, because that's what technology tells us. Okay, and this is part of also, just without going into a lot of details, a lot of things that are happening in the company that are going to change the way that we do business and how easy it is for you to get customers and keep customers and get distributors and keep distributors and build and duplicate teams. So there's a lot of things that we're not talking about here that are going to be coming in the future that will change the way that we do things and the speed at which things are happening. So I share this with you because this allowed me to get my 5th diamond in 2010, my 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th. Through this period, guess what? There were new business systems. It went from work from home systems, nutrition clubs, fit clubs, challenges, and then a hybrid of many, many different things. So how many of you've done at least 2 or 3 business systems and main way of working in DMOs through your career? How many of you have changed through different periods of time, different business systems, different ways of working? Yeah, this is just a natural part of doing business. Okay, so I just shared this with you, the 11th, the 12th. I have a 13th, had a 13th, all right, that probably will come from that organization. And I share this with you because this is just one example. If you look at the type of growth, and this is Herbalife sales overall, over the same period of 14 years, we've done an amazing job. As a company, if you think about it, where we are today, the impact that we've made, the income that people are earning, the levels that people are at, it's amazing. But it hasn't been the kind of growth every market we want to have happen. It's one of the reasons why this mastermind exists. It's one of the reasons why today all of Korea leadership is together for 2 days. It's part of the reason why throughout the years this program does not have a start. Well, this has a start, but it does not have a finish. This is an ongoing leadership development program because there's no limit to how long you're going to do Herbalife, and there's no limit to how high and where you're going to go in Herbalife. This is a new structure and operating model to support you to grow as much and as fast as you possibly can for the future. Okay, so this is different than we've ever done before. We are going to change this. This is the company's sales overall for the last 14 years. Now in that, every one of your markets, you may be at the highest point of your Herbalife business. You know, Vietnam, for example, incredible what's happening in Vietnam right now. In Korea, you might have had a higher point before. In Thailand, you might have had a higher point before. It doesn't matter. It's all part of the business cycle What's matter is we create the environment and we develop the leadership, and as a company, we bring everything that you need so that you can grow and develop your businesses. Now, if you take the results that my personal organization, before I joined the company as an executive, this is the sales my organization did relative to the company's organization. So meaning that if the company would have grown at the same growth rate that my organization at that time had grown, we would be a $25 billion, $30 billion company today, and not a $5 billion company. The goal is that we grow the company this way, okay? So how many of you are excited about having that type of growth for yourselves in the future? Yeah? Okay, good. Yeah, we can clap for that. Now, this is also one example of 14 years. But we've got an example of an organization that started actually 4 years ago in the United Kingdom, and this is the type of growth that they've had just in over 4 years. From one nutrition club to now I think it's almost 80-some nutrition clubs, from 50,000 organizational volume to over 1.1 million organizational volume. This is a couple, their name is Dan and Claire. This is something that they've created called a breakfast budget club concept. It's a nutrition club, and they found a way in the United Kingdom. And basically, this is the growth that they've created in just the last 5 years. So if they can create that growth in the United Kingdom, a market that's been open for 40 years, right? Not a new market, 40 years. If they can create that kind of growth when other organizations and leaders didn't do it, is it because of the economy in the UK that they have this growth? Is it because of the competitors, the pricing of the products that they have this growth? Or is it because as individual leaders, they took responsibility to find a business model, to implement a business model, to develop a business model and flow, and that no matter what was happening in the market, they were able to produce this result independent of what happens in the marketplace. That's the reason why. So by the way, in a mastermind, we will probably have a conversation with them and bring this conversation to all of you. How many of you would be interested in hearing an interview with them to understand what went into building their model and business flow? You guys really interested? Very good. So this is part of the value of the mastermind, is we take these leaders, like Eric said, this is taking from the wealth of everyone in the organization and sharing so that people's minds can get opened up, so that people can understand at a level that they need to, so it's impactful. Not just hear a little bit, but hear enough. Okay, and then be supported in what they need. So this is the value of the mastermind. So amazing story, these guys are doing great. So Eric talked about the value of the mastermind. In our business, we know that getting to president team, number one, is a huge goal and dream, and something that every one of the TAB team that's in this room, on the Zoom, is committed to accomplishing. This is part of our goal, to help everyone become a president team member. But it doesn't stop there. To help president team members develop the diamonds in their organization so that you can not take 6 years like me to get your first Mark Hughes bonus, okay? But you can get your 1 diamond, 2 diamond, 3 diamond, 4 diamond. How many of you, your real goal and aspiration is to become a chairman's club? How many of you, absolutely, no question, becoming a chairman's club, this is what you're working for in your life, in your career, and this is what you're committed to? Very good. By the way, it's a good idea. It's a very good idea, okay? And our chairman's club can tell you, yes, it's a very good, very, very good. Even better than chairman's club, by the way, is Founder Circle, right? Junmu? Mr. Kim? Yeah, Founder Circle, it's very good. Yeah. So I actually joke, you know, I'll tell just a really quick story. So as a Founder Circle, the life is amazing. I mean, it's incredible. The lifestyle, the, you know, everything. It's like you start the year and they're like, okay, because you're Founder Circle, we're going to give you $100,000. You can just choose what you want. Do you want the Cartier watch? Do you want to do this? Do you want to travel? Do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? So it's a bit complicated because every year you have to have this $100,000 gift, and you have to decide what you're going to do with this $100,000, right? No, I understand. I understand you think that it's like, that would be like a dream to have that, right? But when you get it every year, it's kind of hard, you know? That's a joke, right? You get it every year, it's kind of hard. Because you know you already bought the jewelry, you bought the watch, you bought this, and then, oh, again, I don't know, again, this year I have to decide what to give, but they do a good job, though. You guys have been doing a good job with that decision. I'm half joking, but I'm being serious, okay? It's a very good thing to go. So let's talk about a couple of other things and conversations. Becoming a president team member. And what I want to do here is I want to have a conversation. We want this to be interactive, but if president team is something you want to accomplish, like it's something that you really for yourself, it's a goal, it's something that you're working towards, it must be pretty important if it's something that you want to accomplish. And so what I want to do is I want to ask in the room, and we're just going to kind of run around, but I want to ask in the room, like, what does it mean in your mind to become a president team member? And so where are the millionaire team members? Some millionaire team members here? Raise your hand if you're a millionaire team member. Okay. All right, so let me ask. What does it mean for you, and what does it represent to become a president team member? Like you becoming a president team member, or when you look at president team members, what is the meaning of that for yourself? And why do you want to become a president team member? And I'm going to need translation here. Yeah, thanks.
먼저는 지금까지 해온 것처럼 더 많은
I would like to help more people than I have until now. That's why I
Yeah.
want to become a presidency member. And I want to change my life. And by transforming my life, I want to transform the lives of others. That's why I want to become a presidency
Very good.
member.
So the opportunity to transform your life and at the same time be able to transform the lives of others. Great. So who else? Who else wants to share what it means for you to become president team? Or when you look at president team members, what does it represent for you? All right, so don't be shy, by the way. Who wants to share? Where are our millionaire team members? Okay.
네.
When I first started Herbalife, I wanted to make my family's dreams come true. But inside Herbalife, I learned about how to live a valuable life. If I become a president's team member, I think I will be able to give value to many more people.
All right, so it's about value, right? Giving value, bringing value to your family, to yourself, to other people. Great. Who else? Who else wants to share? What does it mean to become a president team? When you visualize yourself becoming a president team member, like what does it mean, right? Over here? Okay. I'll come to you after. Okay. Just here and then here. All right.
Becoming a president's team member means that I will have grown, I will have changed, and I will have changed others. So my transformation is the biggest meaning for me in becoming a presidency
Okay,
member.
very good. So personal growth, changing others, very good. Okay.
If I become a presidency member, it will mean that I will have won the battle that I have engaged with myself.
Very good. So personally winning the battle of what it took for yourself to go through to be able to accomplish that, right? Very good. So anybody else? Over here. Okay.
안녕하세요.
Hello.
저는
I think it means that I will have had the opportunity to learn many more things by becoming a President's Team member. And
그리고 그 자리에 가서
when I am a presidency member, I will have a bigger vision and I will be able to see more things.
Okay, very good. Bigger vision. So the personal growth, a bigger vision. Okay, so one more. Okay.
I
I agree with everything that has been said by the others. And I became healthier through Herbalife, and I was able to make other people healthier too. And the bigger your royalty, it shows how many people you have made healthier and more successful. But that's very subjective. But objectively, I think I have to get
Okay, very good.
200,000 volumes in my
Right,
3
so
levels.
the royalty check is a measure of the impact that you make. The bigger the check, the bigger the impact. Okay, very good. So, and if we could ask and spend time on this for a long time. When you visualize yourself as a president team member and you imagine, you see them, typically where do the president team sit? In the front. They have tables, they have recognition, they receive gifts from the company, they've accomplished, they come on stage, they share. There's a lot of things that it represents to become a president team member. And it is amazing if you think about it. It's definitely something that is worth, no question, investing your time, energy, your life into for all of the reasons that you've talked about. But if we think about what does it really mean to become a president team member, it really is all of what you talked about. But the reality is that it just means doing 200,000 volume points 3 months in a row in 3 levels of organization. That's what it is. Now, I share this with you, why? Because sometimes you have a vision and you give a lot of meaning to something, and it can be very powerful. But sometimes it disconnects you from the reality. And sometimes if you say, I will have made the personal growth when I become a president team member, and then you make it to the president team member, but you realize, actually, I have still more growth to go, it just was something that happened along the way. And so I share this with you because it's very important to also at the same time, besides all of the things that are true about bringing the value, the personal growth, accomplishing something, making an impact in the world, okay? But actually bringing it down to what is the actual thing you're trying to accomplish. And so it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what your education is. It doesn't matter what model you do, what DMO you do. It doesn't matter how many years you've been in Herbalife. But if you build an organization that does 200,000 volume points 3 months in a row in 3 levels, you will become a president team member. Now, that can look in many ways like many, many different things. So how many of you have seen The Matrix? You know The Matrix? You know this like Neo, right? So there's this reality that seems like it's true, right? But at the end of the day, there's just the numbers. There's the ones and the zeros, okay? And in our business, president team, it's the 200,000. It could mean 2,000 customers. It could mean 200 supervisors that do 1,000 volume points. It could mean 2,000 supervisors that do 100 volume points. It could mean any number of things. But understanding what it takes and that the computer will calculate and the computer knows no difference. Now, it needs to be ethical. It needs to be legal, right? It needs to be within the boundaries of what it needs to be, but it doesn't matter what DMO you do. It doesn't matter how many customers, how many distributors, what the composition of your organization is, as long as you do it and the computer can calculate it and it falls within the qualification. Okay, so I share this with you because sometimes we get caught up in the meaning of things instead of focusing on what actually needs to get done. And so having your business plan, having your model, having your business systems that are going to allow you to create the results that you want to create, it's really important. Okay, so again, not taking away, because it's absolutely true. And if I were to ask the question, what does it take to become, or what would it mean for you to become a Chairman's Club member? And what would that represent? You could have the same conversation. You could say, well, becoming a Chairman's Club and being one of the 70 or so distributors in 44 years that accomplished 5 diamonds, and the leadership and the responsibility and the impact and the lifestyle and the size of the organization and the income that you have, like there's a lot there. The responsibility, the legacy that you leave, there's a lot there. And if I were to ask, becoming a founder circle, what does it mean? But what you don't want to do is you don't want to let the image of what it is take you away from the reality of what's needed to make it happen. You want to have both together, and that creates a powerful context for accomplishing things. Okay, does that make sense for everybody? You guys can clap if so. Okay, so we're gonna go over one thing that we went over, but we're gonna do it very quickly. When we were at the Future President Team Retreat, and by the way, these conversations are about conversations to make you think different and realize things about yourself and the way you approach your business so that you can create a new reality for yourselves. That sometimes we have a way of just doing things in the same way, and that we don't look at things just from a different angle, and when we do, finally, it gives us a whole different perspective. This is about you as a leader defining and understanding what are the things that you need to work on. Where are your strengths, but also where are your weaknesses, so that you can lean on your strengths, but also that you can minimize the impact of the weaknesses. And so this conversation is really about the difference between an entrepreneur and a small business owner. And we're going to do it quick because we did it already at our FPTR. But in our business, we say very often that this is a business of entrepreneurs. It is a business of entrepreneurs, but not everybody, okay, is a natural entrepreneur. We say also that this is a business for small business owners, right? But not everybody naturally is interested in or wants to be a small business owner. And it takes really both of these things to, in my mind, become successful long term and to be able to navigate and to be able to grow an organization through decades. Okay, so we're going to talk about these two things, and I want you to think about which one do you more naturally relate to, and which one, if you think of everything you do every day in your business, like what your day looks like, which one of these is you in your day? Okay, so first, small business owner. So the definition of a small business owner is an individual who owns and operates a business that's typically smaller in scale, with fewer employees and lower revenue than large corporations. So obviously, we are small business owners, but in a multi-level marketing, relationship model of business that's different than if you were to open, some small business and have some employees. But how many of you in the room, you have nutrition clubs? Yeah, so we know about 60% of you actually have something that would be considered a small business. It's a location you go almost every single day. There's things that you do every single day there. There's tasks that need to get done. So in some sense, you are operating a small business. Okay, so small business owners are responsible for managing the day-to-day operations of their business, including tasks such as sales, marketing, finance, customer service. How many of you are responsible for the marketing of your products, for the sales of your products, for the finance of your products, customer service, taking care of your customers, working with your distributors? How many of you are basically operating a small business? You have a lot of responsibilities, okay? They often take on multiple roles within the business, from decision-making and strategic planning to hands-on work. Small business owners typically have direct control over their business decisions and may be more personally invested in the success of the business, both financially and emotionally. For most of you, your business, you are the business. If you go out of your business and you leave that nutrition club and you don't go and open the nutrition club, you don't have a business. Some of you have some other employees maybe, or you have some leaders that work in your nutrition club, but for the most part, a small business owner, without them in the business is not the same. So how many of you can identify and you say, part of what I do is a small bit, it's like this is part of what I do. I sell products, I take care of people, I operate the nutrition club, people are coming, I work with distributors, I train distributors, I do all of this. You are in a day-to-day business that you're operating like a small business. How many of you would relate to that? Okay, very good. Now, entrepreneur, it's a different definition. Yeah, thanks for that. An entrepreneur is an individual who creates, organizes, and operates a new business venture, taking on financial risks in the hope of profit. By the way, when you opened your nutrition club, each and every one of you, there was a level of entrepreneurship. You had to go and find the location, you signed the lease, you invested into your business. It was not without risk. You didn't know how to do it. You didn't know if it would work. You did it because you had a vision for a business and you took an entrepreneurial action to open a business. Today, that business, maybe it's a small business for you, okay? But if you look at the definition, entrepreneurs are often seen as innovators who bring new ideas, products, or services to the marketplace. Now, if an entrepreneur is an innovator bringing new ideas, products, and services to the marketplace, you can see that if you're a small business owner and operating only as a small business owner, that sometimes naturally you're not being an entrepreneur. You have your nutrition club. Sometimes there's new DMOs, there's new methods, there's new ways of doing things that come along. But an entrepreneur, they are innovators. They see new opportunities. They bring new ideas. So there's something that's very important about being a business owner, but at the same time having an aspect of being an entrepreneur. Because if you're not being entrepreneurial, you're not open to new ideas. You're not looking for the opportunities. You're just operating a business. Okay, so this is very important. They're responsible for the overall strategy, management, and direction of the business, and typically seek to capitalize on opportunities by identifying and solving problems in the marketplace. Now, there's a forever amount of problems in the marketplace. There will forever be an amount of problems in the marketplace. One of the problems that you have is you don't have 200,000 volume points in your 3 levels of organization 3 months in a row. That's one of the problems that you have, okay, is that you don't have the size of the volume yet. But the question is, in your marketplaces, whether it's Singapore, whether it's Thailand, whether it's Taiwan, whether it's Australia, it doesn't matter where it is, whether it's here in Korea, do you have a lack of people to buy your products? Is it because there's so many competitors that you cannot sell more products? Or that you cannot attract people to the business? Is it because the price of our products are too expensive? Is it because of, what is the reason why you are not able to grow a bigger business than you currently have? Is it because you're operating as a business owner, a small business owner, day-to-day doing things? Or is it because you're not looking at a bigger picture and asking yourself, of all of the millions of people that live in my city, what is the problem that I need to solve for? What is the new product and service and approach that I need to create to be able to attract more people, to be able to build the kind of business that I want to build? And so I share this with you because, number one, which one do you identify more with? And I promise you, if you identify more as a small business owner, and that you are just in the process of going on a day-to-day running a business, but you don't have an entrepreneurial perspective of things, it's going to be limiting for you. You're going to miss the new opportunities that come, the ones that someone brings that you are closed to, you say, because I don't want to do things that way. You're going to miss seeing something that could be done, hearing something that someone's doing and saying, aha, this is something that would solve for some of the problems in the marketplace. This is something that we could do to make a difference. And so it's important, but if I just ask in the room, how many of you in the room identify more with being a small business owner than being an entrepreneur? You're kind of more in the mindset, and sometimes maybe you're a little bit of an entrepreneur, but most of the time you operate as a small business owner. Raise your hand. Okay, good. And then how many of you identify more as an entrepreneur than a small business owner? Okay. And how many of you are never going to raise your hand, whatever question I'm going to ask you? How many of you are having trouble? Yeah? How many of you are having trouble? How many of you are having trouble answering the question? Yeah. Because you're kind of this and you're kind of that, but you kind of don't fit maybe, at different times you're this, at different times you're that. All right, so it's important to understand that you need to be both. Naturally, people will tend to be one or the other. So whatever you are is great. By the way, I wish I was more of a business owner mentality sometimes, because I was always very good at seeing the opportunity, seeing the solution, but I was not always very good at focusing day to day on consistent work, because just as an entrepreneur mindset, I got antsy. I had a hard time focusing day to day, okay? By the way, how many of you know people in your organization, they're always coming and wanting to change something? Like you just learn one thing and you're doing something and they always come with a new idea all of the time. How many of you have those people, right? How many of you, it drives you crazy, right? You're like, we're just learning. Why do you want to change so much? We're just learning how to do this. Let's just do this consistently. Let's get some momentum going. Don't come and change all of the times the thing, right? So knowing who you are and how you are and what you're not, it's really something that's important. Okay, you need to at times be both if you want to get there. So how, in entrepreneurs' perspective, when they look at the market and they say 200,000 volume points, 3 months in a row, 3 levels deep, an entrepreneur doesn't sleep at night. An entrepreneur says, Korea, all of those millions of people, all of those opportunities, all I need is 200,000 of them, volume points, a couple thousand people out of the millions, and the mind is going like this. Okay, so you need to find where you need to be at different times. You don't have to invent the next business model. The business models exist. But be entrepreneurial enough to be open to see what's happening. And then be business-minded enough to actually implement and have consistency to not change all of the time. All right, so it's a fine balance. So what I want to share with you just in this last period of time is one aspect that I think is really important, and I learned this, I don't know if it was like maybe 10 or 12 years ago, maybe a little bit more. And it's really about the stages of life and business. And so some of you might have seen this before. I've done this sometimes at leadership trainings, but we're going to do it in a context which I think is really important. And everything in life has a cycle to it, right? And if you think of just being a human, there's a natural life cycle, right? So you're born, so there's a day one, the day you come into this world, and then there will be a day when you will exit your physical body, right? And so no one can break that cycle yet. Okay, so we're working very hard here at Herbalife to make sure that we are doing our best, okay, so that we can help to extend the life cycle, right? But for the time being, there's no breaking the cycle. There's a beginning and there's an end to a physical body, okay? So there's also in the stages of life, love, business, okay? There are stages along the way that are very important to understand, especially number one, to identify for yourself, but number two, to identify your people, to know how to help them to go through the stages of business. And so I share this with you because I think it's really important. Each and every one of us in this room, there was a moment before Herbalife. There was a moment where someone gave you this opportunity, and there was a moment where you signed up as an Herbalife distributor, and in that moment, that was the beginning of a journey. That was the beginning of a life that started. And if you think about it, it's pretty crazy, because just think in this room, and we have Chairman's Club members and Founder Circle members and 20Ks and 30Ks in all of the rooms. We've got all of this leadership, and every one of you are here, your leaders. You are the 1% of all of the people in Herbalife. And how did you become the 1%? You know, if you think about it, just go back to that moment that you signed up as an Herbalife distributor. You know, Teho, Hyunmu, there was a moment. No one could have told you in that moment that you signed up that you would become one of the only 11 Founder Circle in the company. Like, what defined that moment, like, that you signed up and you would become Founder Circle? Like, no one could have said from that moment in birth that that would happen. Or becoming Chairman's Club, or becoming President team members. But you all started in that moment. And each and every one of you, you had that moment that you started. And then you went through the different phases. And so we're going to talk about this, because just like in human life, there are phases of Herbalife and business. The moment of birth is the beginning of opportunity. When you sign that contract and that agreement, there's no limitations to what you could accomplish. None whatsoever. You could become Chairman's Club, Founder Circle, President team, supervisor. There's no limitations. But everything is possibilities. But every birth is followed by a developmental cycle, right? And then there's a moment that the signing up of someone, the birth of the opportunity is there, but there also is a stage called the infant stage. And if you think of the infant stage is, if someone doesn't take care of the infant, there's almost no guarantee that they're going to be able to grow and develop, because an infant can't take care of itself. So if you sign up the brand new person, they may be full of opportunity. But what happens if you sign a brand new person and you don't talk to them for 1 month? What is the chance that they will die within the first month? That they're going to use the products the wrong way, they're going to not use the products, that they're going to talk to their friend, that they're going to go online, they're going to see something online. If you don't take care of the brand new born infant, the chance that infant will die, okay, is quite high, right? Now, by some miracle, you call them 30 days later and they're like, "Hi, how are you?" Or some of you get lucky and they call you. You don't call them, but they call you after the first day and they say, "Hey, I have got a question about the products," or "I'm using the products, I feel so much energy," or something. And then you feel like, "Oh, this is a good one. This is the right kind of child. This is the right kind of infant," because they're acting very good. They're very positive. But if the infant calls you and they say, "Oh, I use the product, I have diarrhea. Oh, I use the products and my mother said this. Oh, I went online and I saw this. What is about this?" Then how do you act? What is your reaction to this infant? You're like, "Oh, this is going to be a problem. This one is not going to be easy." Right? But the key is, if you don't take care of the infant will surely die. And maybe by some chance they'll survive. But it takes a conscious effort to take care of a child, of an infant, to make sure that they have extra care, that you're following them up. By the way, how many of you know this? How many of you know the first week of your brand new distributor is very important, that you create the relationship, that you talk, right? You know that this is important. Now, how many of you do everything? How many of you just let some infants die? Just be honest. Yeah, like you just let them die. You know, like, I mean, think about like giving birth. You give birth, the infant is there, and then you're like, it's okay, I signed up three people this week. If some of them die, no problem. Right? But it's someone with possibility. And so it's important because just to be conscious, what if that was one of the president team or the chairman's club that no one took care of? Now, my sponsor quit after 3 weeks. No breastfeeding, nothing. I survived. Okay? But not everyone survives. Okay? So, no, don't. That's not a good example. Don't clap for that. Don't clap for not taking care of your people. Okay? You need to take care of your people. You need to understand that it is the beginning of life. But as someone that is bringing that life into the world, you have a responsibility to take care of that life. And if that life does not survive to the next stage, you might be responsible for why they didn't survive. Okay, so the next stage is the toddler stage. Now, by the way, just getting them to survive, like, it takes a lot. You know, a brand new infant, you need to really take care of them. If you don't feed them, if you don't do everything for them, then guess what? They will almost always die. Okay, especially a human baby, okay? And most babies, you know, in the world, right? Different things. So the toddler is a little bit different. Like a toddler, you know, it still absolutely needs to be taken care of. It doesn't feed itself, but it can at least move, right? It's not just laying there. It can stand up. It can move from one place to the other. But a toddler also, what do you know about your toddlers? By the way, how many of you have children? Just if I can ask in the room. Oh, wow, very productive South Korea in here in the room, okay? How many of you have, wow, that's a lot. I haven't seen that since Mexico. Okay, all right. So, how many, all right, so how many of you, oh, this is the room over here. Okay, so how many of you have 2 children? Whoa. Wow, that's amazing. Really? That's crazy. Okay, how many of you have 3 children? Yeah. Okay. Whoa, 3 children. Oh, how many of you have 4 children? Whoa, stand up. Stand up if you have 4 children. Stand up if you have 4 children. Stand up, stand up. 4 children, stand up. Give them a hand. Okay. Wow. How many of you have 5 children? Okay. No one? Raise your hand. So we call 5 children is Chairman's Club Plan B. If you cannot recruit, then you make them. This is the Chairman's Club Plan B. Okay. All right. So toddlers. You have to watch your toddlers. If you have had small toddlers, you know that if you don't see them, what's happening? Danger. They're going to be going into something, touching something, going and doing something. Like, there's a time in your business that you have to pay very close attention. So you have a brand new person, you have to take care of them, because if you don't take care of them and make sure they have all the nourishment and love and confidence, then they're not going to survive the first part. Then when they start to get a little bit more confident, they're around, you cannot just let them run around. You cannot just be like, oh, we see you at the next STS. We see you at the next training, and then let them go and be off, you know, for 3 weeks doing whatever they're doing. You have to be watching them, okay? The next phase is the child. Now, by the way, this is a fun phase, because a child actually starts to be able to do some things. You know, they have a level of competence. You don't just have to watch them all of the time. Are they okay? Are they going to do what's right? Like, a child starts to learn how to do some things, and they start to feel confident. You know, some of your children, they're like, in the beginning, you want to help to get them dressed. Let me put the clothes on. And then one day they're like, no, I can put my own pants on, right? No, I can put my own shirt on. No, I can do it myself, right? So if you think about these positions also, think about the marketing plan. Like if you had to think of the marketing plan and you would say, birth is day one distributor application. Infant is like senior consultant, maybe, right? Like toddler is maybe like, I don't know, success builder, right? Child, maybe like qualified producer, you know, maybe like just before supervisor. Like just because someone has some volume and they sold a couple products doesn't mean they're ready to do business. There's so much more to learn. There's so much more they need to go through to be able to be independent and successful on their own, strong enough to be able to be in the world by themselves. So very often in our business system, we create a system that brings a lot of people in, and we want the system to take care of them instead of us take care of them. But this is the development of a future GET team member. If you don't pay attention in the infant phase, if you don't pay attention in the child phase, if you don't pay attention in the toddler phase, and they never survive past that moment, you lose the opportunity for them to become someone who can develop further. And so after the child phase becomes the teenager phase. And the teenager phase, you know, for those of you, how many of you have teenagers? It's complicated. The teenager phase is very complicated, yeah? Sometimes you get a teenager, so good, go to school, you know, like they're so perfect, they listen, they follow, they're naturally, they like to do things, you know, they want to listen to you. Sometimes you get that teenager, but sometimes you get the other teenager. The one that's strong, that's independent, that thinks that they know better, they don't listen anymore, they're influenced by other people, and you don't have really much, right? You don't have much influence on them because they're more influenced by other people. And so sometimes the teenage phase is the most difficult phase. Like a teenager in the marketing plan, it's like world team. Teenagers are like world team members. You never know what you get. You might get the world team member that's so serious. You might get the world team member that, you know, wears 5 buttons and the red hair, and they, you know, go and do this and they do that, and they like to do everything, and they like to be different, and they don't want to listen to you. They want to go work with someone else that they know is doing something in an organization. They don't want to listen anymore, right? This is like teenagers' world team. And so the question is, how do you relate, and as a sponsor of this person in your organization, how is your relationship with them through this? Do you be like, you know, you think about it, oh, you're crazy, you know, I'm not going to go work over there, but if you don't want to follow and listen to me anymore, I cannot help you, right? Sometimes you act in a certain way, but you would never do that to your own teenager. Your own teenager, you would try to accept and understand and be a good role model, and you would love them anyway, and you wouldn't kick them out of the house. You know, you would still take care of them. But sometimes when you have these world team members, and they have a mind of their own, you know, you're like, well, I cannot work with you. Go work over there. I cannot help you unless you come to my system, and you want to work with me, then I don't know what to do with you. Okay, so you have to think about all of these moments, and it's really important because the goal is to develop someone in the marketing plan to become someone that can be one of your leaders. But all of these phases are natural phases. I don't know for yourself, if you remember your different phases, probably it's hard to remember what it was like to be a brand new person, or your first sales, or when you stopped listening to your upline. Because there came that moment where you said, I know more than my upline. I know more, or what they're doing, they don't understand. They're so old in their thinking. They don't think this new way. You went through the phases. Every one of your downline people that you sponsor will go through the phases. Ultimately, what we want is we want someone to develop into a young adult. Like, if World Team is a teenager, a young adult is like what? Kind of like an active World Team, right? Like a maybe Get Team, active World Team, Get Team. It's a great relationship because they've learned enough. They went through the teenager phase where it was kind of crazy, and they want to do promotions, they want to go here, they want to spend money to go to an event, they don't have the money, but they want to go, they want to listen to this person over here, they one day they're happy, the next day they're sad, they go through all of these emotions. If one day they want to quit, one day they say, I'm going to be president team, it's just one day difference, right? But they go through all of the emotions, and then they mature into a young adult. And now they are active World Team. Now they've built a bit of an organization, Get Team. Now you start to think, this could be my millionaire team. This could be president team. I'm starting to see in this person that they could become president team because they survived the teenage. They survived all of the risky time of when they could have quit, left the business, be influenced by other people. Now they're mature, young adults, and now it starts to be something you can really work with. You can have the conversations. They're not so emotional anymore. They're rational, they understand. They're still going to go through ups and downs, but they handle it differently with a bigger perspective. And so your goal, your job is to bring someone from birth through the phases, because if you can get them to become a young adult, then anything is possible. Because they survived the beginning, now there's a value that's there. And so the question then becomes, how do you support them to grow to wherever they want to go? To take that Get Team and bring them through and support them on a journey to becoming president team. And so there is this adult, and the adult phase, it's a level of maturity towards the business. Full capacity. They can do everything that anybody needs to do. But the question is, do they do enough? Do they do consistent? Are they, as an adult, do they have the notions and the experience? Like, it takes time to mature as an adult. A young adult 25, a young man adult 25, and a young woman adult 25, it can be totally different on the level of maturity understanding. Women tend to mature faster than men. But your adult phase, it lasts decades. But a 40-year-old man or woman, it's a different adult than a 30-year-old man or woman. Different experience, different capabilities, different perspective on things. To 50, right? The adult period can last really as long, except for Rob Levy, who still is like a young adult, Now, can you be an adult but also be a teenager in your mind? Yes, my wife will tell you, yes, that's probably like a comment, right? But this is important to understand. Adult in Herbalife is what? Millionaire team, president team, 20K, it can be anything. Then there's this place called middle age. Middle age is a time in the life cycle where you leave the adult phase. The adult phase is total capacity, right? It's you have everything within yourself to be able to go and accomplish and make things happen. You're not missing anything. You're not an inexperienced teenager, emotional, crazy, all around. You have understanding, you have education, you understand how everything works. It's like full of possibility. When you reach midlife, and there's a physical part of midlife, in our business there's a business part of midlife, it's where you're maybe an adult, but your mindset is not hungry like an adult. You're not looking for growth the way you looked for growth before. Something changed in your energy. Something changed in your vision. Something changed in your goals. When someone becomes a GET team, and they're that young adult, they look at the future and they say, Chairman's Club. Then as they go through their adult phase, what happens is they learn Chairman's Club, not so easy. They have ups and downs. Their best person left the business. Maybe they got divorced or they got separated or something happened in their life. And what ends up happening is it changes their perspective and their vision. The difference between a young adult and an adult and someone in mid-age, midlife, is how they see the future. Because the nature of midlife is you're thinking more about the last half than you're thinking about the first half and where you're going. You're thinking that I've already been and done, and part of it's already done. And now I'm looking forward to the second half. Now, there's a physical reality to midlife, right? But in our business, there is no real midlife. You can be Armitat Cohen at 80 years old and still be looking to the future. You don't have to, because of age or physicality, be in midlife. Midlife is more an energy. Midlife is more a focus. And so you can be 30 years old and be in midlife. Because midlife is about how you see the future and your energy, your desire, your focus to work towards that future more than anything. And so midlife is a period of limited focus and vision and dreams and goals. It's where you start to say, when you were GET team, you said, I want to become Chairman's Club. But because you experienced 10 years, 5 years, 15 years, 20 years, and it didn't happen, you start to say, okay, maybe not Chairman's Club. Maybe just if I can get to 20K, that would be good. Or maybe if I just can get to president team, that would be a good thing. The difference is the young adult, they don't look at president team, they look at maybe bigger. And so the question is, for each and every one of you, where are you on this spectrum? Where are you in this cycle? Are you really an adult, but you're thinking like midlife? Do you have the energy of the young adult, looking to the future and saying, I am going to build so big and nothing is going to stop me and it's unlimited what I can accomplish? What is the energy that you're having? Energy of adult, energy of a young adult, or energy of someone that's in midlife? Things to think about. After midlife, next is aging. So midlife is this point where you're looking now more towards the second half than you were looking towards the first half, right? Or towards unlimited possibilities. And now you start to protect. You start to think about protecting what you created. When we talk about entrepreneur, someone in midlife, someone that's aging, they're not thinking like an entrepreneur. They're thinking more like protecting. Protecting what I have, let's not change. At least I can count on what I have. I know what I have. I don't know what I could have, but I know what I have. I need to think more about that and to protect what I have. That's more of an aging mentality. Because the young adult is like, let's try, let's go, let's do it. That's the young adult. The mature adult is like, let's think about it. Let's make sure we do this. If we do it, let's do it good. Let's focus. Let's implement. Let's have a plan. Let's work. We have time. Let's go. It's a different energy. And so in the cycle of life and in the cycle of business, you go from middle age, aging, institutionalization, where you cannot even take care of yourself. Other people take care of you. Okay? Right? This is not meant to depress anyone. Okay? And if you're lucky enough, you have family to take care of you. Okay? But this is the process. And in our business, this is like aging is like, I'm just going to do my 2,500 just to get whatever's there. Institutionalization is like, I don't even know if I'm going to do my 2,500. And then that's followed by death. Not even worth doing it. Not even worth the effort. Not even worth the possibility. I have no future, no vision, no dreams, no goal, no horizon, nothing. And so, if you think of this cycle, the first question to ask yourself is, where are you today in the cycle? Where are you today in this cycle? If you're honest with yourself. We don't have any teenagers in here. Maybe teenagers at heart, okay? But not really teenagers in business here. We have probably some young adults in here. Probably some people that when they look to the future, maybe it's because of their age, maybe it's because of what they're experiencing, maybe it's because of the momentum that they have in the business, the vision that they have, they look into the future and they say anything is possible. I can build this and grow this and it can be, and I can reach anything and I'm going for it. And that's the young adult energy. We have a lot of people that are adults. You know you're here, you know you have goals, you know you're not going anywhere, you know you're going to build, you know you're willing to do the work. You're an adult, it's mature. Now, by the way, sometimes the adult energy, it's what's better, adult energy or young adult energy? What's better for building business? Young adult energy is better for building business because it's much more energetic, it's much more focused, it's much more excited, it's much more possibilities. So the idea is to kind of be between this young adult and adult phase, okay? We call this being in your prime. This is being in your prime. When you can be in this area of excited about your future, open to possibilities, energy, but have the maturity, the understanding of what it takes, it's like that is where you want to be. You want to be in your prime. How many of you, and we're going to do this, we're going to give you a couple of minutes, we're going to give you like 10 minutes to talk on your table, okay? But how many of you also are recognizing that really you're more in middle age, like midlife? You don't look to the future with the same excitement that you did 5 years ago, 10 years ago. You're diminishing what's possible based on your experience in the past. You said, well, I wanted to become president team or chairman's club, but the truth is I'm working for 20 years already, and I'm only millionaire team today. So you know what? If I could ever get to Mill 7.5, if I could ever get to president team, that would be good enough. That's middle age. That's middle age energy. It's diminishing the possibilities and accepting less than what you would have accepted in the past. Okay? Some of you might even be in the aging phase, where you're just here to protect. You built something, it's enough for you to do your personal volume, it's enough for you to maintain what you have, but you have no excitement, no true, authentic excitement about building for the future. And you've gone beyond just the middle age, but you've gone now into kind of aging, where the perspective is very diminished. There's really not a lot of perspective. How much growth is possible when you're in that type of a mindset? Almost no growth is possible. Opportunity comes and you don't even see it. It just comes by. You cannot even recognize it because you're not looking for it. You've gotten a mindset of really this is the end more than this is the beginning. Okay? So, number one, we're going to take a little bit of a session. Everybody in all the rooms, we're going to take 10 minutes. What I want you to do in the 10 minutes is there's about 10 people per chair or per table. It gives you 1 minute each. Okay? I want you to talk about two things. One is I want you to share authentically. Where have you been in your business? Have you been a young adult? Have you been an adult? Have you been in middle age? Have you been more of aging? I want you to share where you've been, okay? Number one, with the people that are at your table. And number two, I want you to share about your people and where they are. What did you learn from this cycle? Like, where are your people? Where do you have weakness in your business? Do you let the new infants die because you don't take care of them? Do you kick the teenager out because they're so wild and want to do different things, and you're like, no, has to be this way. If you want to be different, then you cannot work with me. You go work somewhere else. So one is, where are you at? Two, what talked to you the most about this life cycle and your organization, and where you see people are at, or where your weaknesses in your organization in terms of where people are at? Do you have trouble maintaining the young adult energy and the focus? Do you have a lot of people that are now middle age and they're thinking really protecting more than building? Okay, so we're going to take 10 minutes. This is a chance at your tables. You go one by one. One person talks, the other people listen. 10 minutes, everyone will have a minute, and then we'll come back after. Okay, so 10 minutes on the clock. Thank you. All right. Did everybody have a chance to go? All right, give a hand to your table. Very good. All right, so how many of you it took some courage to share? It took a bit of courage to share where you really have been for the last period of time, yeah? But how many of you also feel a little bit free now because you identified where you were? It's not maybe where you want to be, but at least you know now that it's very hard to produce results if you're in middle age energy, right? So number one, the first part is identifying what's there, right? Number two, how many of you, when you look at your organization, you think about people in different places? And you realize that if you're going to help and you want to build a business, you're going to have to help people navigate where they are right now, okay? So part of this right now is for us, if we can get this back up on the screen, as a company, we want to help you stay in prime and get back into prime. We want to help your mindset. We want to help your vision, your focus, your energy. And part of this mastermind is having conversations like this that are big conversations to make you realize some things so we can bring you back into prime so that you can go produce different kinds of results. And so this mastermind will be, and you will all be together forever. You're going to have accountability groups so that you have this type of interaction. We're going to be giving you content. You saw Eric's list of all of those different systems and things to work on to be able to give you what you need as you navigate and as you go through your life cycle, but staying in prime to help you and your organizations to accomplish the biggest results possible, okay? So just one last thing on this prime conversation is I want you to think about this next piece. So next slide. Prime, there's a physical part to it. So ask yourselves the question. You might be in young adult for your business, for your energy, but where are you from your physical body? Are you in prime in your physical body now? Are you the healthiest, the strongest, the weight that you want to be at? Or are you more middle age physically? You could be 30, but you could have let go of your commitment, your energy, your focus to be as healthy and fit as possible. So prime, there's many different aspects to it. Are you in your prime physically? Are you in your prime intellectually? I would imagine that this mastermind, you will walk out of here with more knowledge, with more perspective, with more understanding than you have had before in your business. This is part of our goal to make sure that your understanding, your intellectual understanding what you need to do and understanding what will make you successful is going to be at a highest level. So can you work on your intellectual? How many books exist in the world that can help you to become successful on every subject matter. How many podcasts can you listen to? Okay, so you have an intellectual prime also. And it's more about not what you know, but it's the energy that you bring to it. A young adult is thirsty for information, thirsty for learning, thirsty for growing. Someone that's middle-aged isn't thirsty. They think, I already learned it. I've already done so much. I've already grown. There's not so much more for me to know. But you could be 70 years old, but think like a young adult, hungry to learn, okay? Emotional. Where are you in your emotional life cycle? Are you 50, but you still react sometimes like a teenager when something happens? Are you emotionally mature? Do you bring calmness and do you support other people? Or do other people have to support you all of the time? Because you're like this emotional roller coaster. And then sometimes you think, why don't my people follow me? Why are my people always questioning? But you're kind of like an emotional roller coaster. They don't know what to expect. Okay, so where are you in your emotional growth? Are you like a teenager? Are you like a young adult? Very good, but still can be more mature emotionally, okay? Are you beyond emotion? You have no emotions, you don't care anymore. So where are you, all right? Spiritual. This is kind of an interesting one. Different meanings for different people. It's not about religion. You know, where are you today? And we heard some different things. People saying it's about making an impact. It's about making a contribution. It's about other things than just my own personal thing. Okay, so there's a level of spirituality. How connected are you to the mission? How connected are you to making a difference, to leaving a legacy, to changing what you can change to make the world a better place? Because this was Mark Hughes' vision and mission for this company, and this is the legacy of this company. This is what we are all here to do, okay? And then there's also financial. Where are you today in the life cycle financially? Are you a teenager today where you make money but you spend it all and you have, and you don't spend it in the right places, maybe at the right time, and then when it comes time to make sure you can go to extravaganza, you don't have the money? How many of you have your organization, they make money but they spend it in different places, and then when it's time to come to the DDM or it's time to go to an event, then all of a sudden they don't have the money, but they made the money? That's a teenager financially, right? Acting like a teenager. So financially, where are you also in that life cycle, right? Are you mature? Do you know how to make money? Do you know how to keep money? Do you know how to invest money? Do you know how to reinvest it into your business? Do you know where to invest it in your business so you can have a bigger growing, faster growing business, right? So there's different aspects. So I can tell you as a company, one of the things that makes Herbalife so special in my experience, and I think this is what really makes us different, is that we touch on all of these things. When you become an Herbalife distributor and you join Herbalife, you are on a pathway to growth. We have nutrition products and lifestyle and support and soon technology, all to help you to become the best physical, body that you can be, to lose the weight, to have more energy, to take care of yourself, to have a healthier lifestyle. And this is our vision, and this is our mission, and this is as a company where we will focus on supporting people to give them the best health and wellness support in their lives at every stage of life. So that's Herbalife. Intellectual, learning, emotionally, understanding, relationships, developing relationships, spiritual, financial. Herbalife touches all aspects of life. This is a pretty amazing, very special place. Okay, so hopefully this section in this morning has opened your eyes, has started to create some relationships and everybody understanding, seeing things in a certain way, the same way, to be able to get everyone to where we want you to go and support you on the journey in the future. So thank you very much. We're going to go to lunch. We need to be back in the room in about 45 minutes, so we continue. You guys have been great this morning. Thank you to all the group, all of you that have been joining us. Thank you very much. We'll see you guys in 45 minutes. Thank you very much. Thank you.